Hi, everybody, and welcome to our OATUG Mobile and Digital Experience SIG. We're very excited to be able to present today about a topic which, of course, seems to be top of mind for everyone nowadays, which is the whole concept of AI in action, right? I feel like everybody nowadays is talking about AI, and it feels almost like this umbrella that is covering everything, but actually full of, but everybody's getting wet and we don't know why, right? We really want to see how we could narrow down that scope, especially today. And instead of seeing AI in action as, an overall concept where everything is intelligent, we want to take a low hanging fruit, a specific use case, and show you guys how in a matter of months you could be gaining efficiency, productivity, and intelligently gaining, you know, tons of value for your organization by enabling AI to do document processing for your EBS application, especially in the area of being able to automate validations, data entry, and of course, character recognition, right? Being able to identify the application. So that's kind of what is our general topic today. As we said, today's topic is sponsored by OraPlayer. So we're going to talk today a little bit about our solution, but it's in conjunction with OATUG, the Oracle Applications and Technology User Group. Definitely big fans. There are people, and they help bring together the EBS community, especially at the Ascends conference in June. Show of hands if you guys are going to be joining us. You can put in the comments if anyone's going to be at Ascend. So we'll make sure to send you an invitation to our on-site event as well. So like I said, my name is Mia Urman. I'm an Oracle ACE director and the CEO of OraPlayer. And basically, I go around talking to people who have investments in Oracle that span, 1 or 2 decades. And we talk about how we could take and leverage that investment into the future, right? How we don't necessarily have to throw out all of the investment of these mission critical applications. But on the other hand, we don't have to continue with manual paper processes. And that's why we founded OraPlayer, where basically it's a technology software company that enables organizations to really modernize the business process and make it more digital, standardized, AI based, etc., but keeping that robust back end fully intact. So we're going to see a sample of that today. So, like we said, if you're still drowning in paper, we have solutions beyond just the AI. We have physical inventory, a lot of warehouse management, some things for finances, for iExpense, to be able to scan and capture receipts. So, kind of the whole concept of OraPlayer is how we kind of eliminate these bottlenecks and get rid of the manual paper-based processes and do that using both pre-built solutions as well as a set of developer tools, including the latest, the OraPlayer MCP server for e-business suites. So today we're going to cover basically, I'm going to try to cover as little blah blah as possible. Okay, I'm going to kind of jump through it a little bit because we do have with me today Shalom, who's our senior AI analyst at OraPlayer, and he's going to be giving us a demo in depth of how, end to end, we're taking PDF images, invoices, and putting them through the document process manager, where AI is going to do parsing, OraPlayer is going to do validations and data entry. So it'll be very cool to see this whole thing from start to finish. And we're going to talk a little bit about, return on investment, real world use cases, etc. Okay, so essentially, what's our goal here? What's the biggest problem, right? We have this incredible strength with e-business suites, right? It's proven technology. It has enterprise grade. They're mission critical. It's literally running your business. But on the other hand, your business is also being run by people needing to manually type in paper based purchase order invoices. In the warehouses, people are still using paper tags and clipboards. EBS is pretty much locked to the desktop. There's very limited mobility. There's lack of intuitive ROI, and that's basically the challenge. The challenge is not e-business suite. It's going to be around for a long time. It's even gotten a new life, right? It's going to be around till 2037 at least, right? Every year they add an additional year. But the friction is just the users are starting to struggle more and more as the user interface of EBS doesn't seem to be catching up with the times. Okay, so you'd think like, well, you know what? They've had these systems for 2 decades. Why are these organizations doing nothing, right? And basically, people are, a little bit of a deer in the headlights, right? They don't want to break things. They don't want downtime. They're afraid of cost, right? And you think, why would they be a fear of cost? It's going to actually really improve, right, their return on investment and make them more productive, etc. But a lot of times people don't see that as a cost, right? You have your workers in the field, they're doing their work, right? You don't have to pay them anything extra to do, you know, their everyday work. But basically, people are very wary of change. And people also always talk about modernization as like a vitamin, right? It's not a cure for cancer. If it was something to do with security, everyone would be jumping on it. But if it's something like, hey, if it had something to do with the front end versus the customers, right? A lot of the organizations have also taken care of that. But if it's with back end processes, organizations, don't really adopt so quickly to those types of projects. But more and more, we're seeing that there's a cost of doing nothing, right? People are get the order fulfillment, order processing are slow. They're delayed invoices and payments. We spoke to one organization who was having the IT department at the end of each quarter type in invoices and purchase orders that hadn't been in the system yet because they couldn't close the quarter. Okay. I mean, these things are unbelievable to hear in today's day and age, right? But I think that now is really the time to act. We have an unbelievable amount of technology and, experts who are willing to help kind of guide us through. There's no longer this need to rip and replace, right? So when the last trend, right, where everyone said, "Oh, move to cloud, um, go to go from your on-premise system to a software as a service system." That meant really getting rid of your existing investment and going all the way to something new. This new brand of innovation with AI is really something that we could do with low risk, incremental, phased modernization, right? We're able to do like specific use case utilizing AI that could extend and extract from the existing system. So it really is a new way of looking at our enterprise systems, and AI adoption is scaling and accelerating in your competitors. Um, Millennials, new people coming into the workforce are, really trying to have us raise the bar. Um, and the time is now to really embrace AI and robotic process automation. So today we're going to be talking about a specific use case of AI, like we said, and it's called intelligent document processing. And it's basically if you take artificial intelligence, character recognition, right, which is the ability of reading PDFs or images and being able to extract text, and then you put a little bit of dash of natural natural language processing, a little bit of machine learning. You put it all in the blender, and you get the intelligent document processing, right? So essentially, you should be able to accept documents from multiple sources, right? It could be from email, it could be from scanners, it could be uploads from images, etc. Then it goes through the character recognition process where the data is extracted, as well as AI is categorizing it and classifying it. And then the data will get routed to where it needs to go, whether it's a system of record, a database, a partner, etc. Okay, so basically, document management is a really incredible place to start because it's high volume, there's a lot of friction, and it really does make a huge improvement in people's lives. So the end user is much less hesitant or anti this type of project because you literally sit alongside the financial or the warehouse worker and you talk with them and define with them how to make their lives better. Okay. Now, the complexity of this capability of doing document management actually is great for Oracle eBusiness Suite, right? Because Oracle eBusiness Suite has a very strict set of like business rules, validations, a set of documents that need to be read in and processed. But it also comes with its own challenges, right? Which is if you extract data and that data is not valid according to the business logic inside of EBS, that data will be rejected, right? When you go to try to save um, a purchase order with a customer name and that customer doesn't actually exist, right? You're going to get a failure message. Sometimes there's a lot of heavy customizations that those need to be accounted for. And essentially, that complexity makes developing these systems a little bit more challenging. Um, because I am an Oracle ace at heart, I'm going to review basically the solutions that are available from Oracle, and then we're going to drill down into OraPlayer as well, which is uh, the the reason for our sponsored session. So, Oracle has what they call document understanding, and it's available as part of the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. And it has a lot of those core competencies we spoke about, right? It has text extraction and character recognition. They call it key value extraction, which basically is able to identify and pull out fields that are common for database type systems, right? Invoice number, supplier name, dates, totals, etc. They could do table extraction. They know how to detect tables and master detail type things. They know how to classify the documents, etc. And it's everything that you've come to know and love about Oracle, right? Enterprise grade, robust, etc. But it doesn't really kind of live in a vacuum. It is usually like triggered or it is utilized as part of either a custom Oracle Apex based application where you build your own Apex application and kind of call the document understanding when you upload the documents. Or you could utilize Oracle Integration Cloud, having the document understanding send the parsed data to Integration Cloud for mapping and further orchestration, using the process automator. And then finally, you could use APIs to get to the database for eBusiness suites. Okay, so if we look at kind of the Oracle world, right, you could take documents from the local storage or from the object storage in OCI, right, blobs, etc. You run it through the document understanding, and then a JSON file could be sent to, right, Digital Assistant, Oracle SAS, Oracle Apex, etc. Right, and I put links at the bottom so that when you guys download the slides, you'll have information if you want to learn more. Okay, The only kind of problem with this type of situation is that it leaves a lot of holes, right? Because a lot of organizations who are kind of ready to go, they don't want to have to necessarily take, the document management and then add Apex and then start, building this whole 7-layer cake themselves, to put it mildly, right? So when we started our journey, we saw that, we really needed a solution that took care of the invoicing entry and the purchase order entry kind of from start to finish, right? We wanted to be able to do the character recognition, taking the PDF, doing automation in EBS, the end-to-end process handling, um, out of the box templatable, to give a really quick time to market. So that's basically what we've done. We took the concept of, the extraction, the AI, and the character recognition, but then we're able to do things such as validating the exact data points against data within the EBS. So we could trigger validations in EBS to make sure that the data that was resulted from the extraction is correct. We could run business rules. We could use RPA automation of EBS transactions. We have exception handling. So we have all of the same error messages, status bar messages, and pop-up messages that appear in the EBS. And we're able to do this automation from start to finish. Okay, so in our flow, we basically have the document acceptance. So that could be either by email, it could come in API, it could be Excel, CSV, an image, a PDF, etc. It could be multi languages. Then we have this part of the AI extraction where we again divide up the PDF into its various components and we read them in to a staging area. In that staging area, we validate the data and we reconcile it against eBusiness Suite. And that could include both database tables, but also automations against the forms themselves, because not all of the business logic, as we know, is contained in the database. So a lot of times we want to be able to trigger some of the business rules on the forms side. Next, we have what we call man in the middle or human review, which I think is the strongest part of the platform. Because once we have the data that was extracted and validated, we present it side by side with the original document that was uploaded. And a functional user could then compare, contrast, and approve it for step number 5, which is the data entry into EBS, which is also automated using robotic process automation. So really you have this flow from end to end where you're able to kind of take the various tools and it's built for you from start to finish, the full process. Whereas the AI components could be Oracle, OCR, it could be Google Gemini. The validations with the business logic could be Oracle Integration Cloud, or it could be Oracle Players Plugin. And then we have this man in the middle, which gives really the power to the end user to give the final okay. So it allows you also to have the confidence of the business users by saying, look, we are doing automation, but we know that people are hesitant to allow AI to kind of go away with putting whatever invoices they want, whatever purchase orders they want, right? Financial close, whatever it may be. So it really allows you to automate and bring productivity by parsing, analyzing, doing the data entry. But the final verdict, you're able to leave in the hands of your end users who could click the submit button, or, operate, make any changes, right? So we're going to now have a live demo. Like I said, I brought with me Shalom, who's ready to go. And basically, we're going to see the invoice processing use case, where we're going to look at how we take an invoice, we upload it to the Aura Player dashboard. Here, you're going to see the various colors Yellow means that there's data that needs to be validated. Red means it failed a validation and you have to correct something. Green means that, go and you're good to go. If you double click on the line, you're going to see our side by side viewer, the original document that was uploaded with what was extracted and validated in the parsed fields. And again, when we talk about documents, we mean any type of document. Here, a customer sent us a document that I barely could read the handwriting, and the AI was able to extract it as well. Then he's going to drill down more into distributions of lines of invoices, as well as PO to invoice matching. Okay, he has here, once the data has been validated against the PDF, you could then go one drill further and say, I want to see my invoice and I want to match it to a PO line, and literally drill down to the next level of AI support, which is reconciliation. So we do invoice entry, then we could do matching and reconciliation as part of the same process. So I'm going to hand over the reins.
So hi, everyone. So I'm going to jump right in and continue right where Mia stopped. And we're going to see the actual solution live. So here we're going to log in into our dashboard. And when we look in this dashboard, we can immediately see that we have different invoices that can arrive in through different channels, right? So the simplest way is to upload it through the application here, or it can arrive by email, and then it will also populate that same table. Now, everything we can see here, it can become more complex, meaning it can be divided by teams, it can be divided by different locations. But just for kind of simple understanding, an end user logs into the system and then they can see all the different invoices waiting for them. Okay. And it's very easy to see that you could filter those invoices based on the different status on where they are on the way to be entered into Oracle. Let's just start by uploading an invoice and we can see how it goes. So I'm just going to upload an invoice here. Computer lags, here we go. And what's happening, just like Mia explained earlier, is it going through different phases. So first, it goes through the AI process, right, where it extracts all the different information. And then when we have that information coming from the AI, we're starting to validate it. And you can see it's already completed. We're starting to validate all that information against the actual systems that we have. So we are not going to just blindly rely on what the AI has retrieved. We're going to make sure that everything that that we get actually exists in the actual right format that that matches our systems. Okay, so let's go inside this invoice and see what we got. Okay, so we can see on the right side of the screen, that's the scanned PDF that we got by uploading this. And then on the left side, we're going to see all the different values that were extracted, but then also validated. So for example, in this case, it was able to identify the name of the supplier. And based on the name of the supplier, it also pooled different default values that match the specific site, which we defined as the default one for this supplier. And everything that I say, remember that sentence that we define, right? Because all of this logic, all this business logic is highly customizable and really matching what's relevant to your system. So as I said, in our case, it identified the supplier, it pulled the correct values from Oracle. So everything we see here is already validated against Oracle. And then we also see that it gives us kind of hints what was the values that the AI extracted, which it thought that matching that field. Okay. So as I said, we can see all the different values. We can see the header, we can see the lines. I'm going to talk about some different parts of this screen, but just that we all be on the same page. Everything that we see here, right? And that's the part of that man in the middle. Everything we see here is changeable. It's changeable against our systems. So if I'll go here and I'll decide, no, actually, that's not the right supplier, I can change it to whatever I want, and it will be matching, again, the actual values coming from my system, right? So if I'll choose something else, it will pull, again, the default values immediately from our systems, okay? Let's see another example. What I want to show you is the way that the AI is able to manage with very vast different kinds of invoices. It's not only relying on specific kind of formats, it's not expecting specific keywords, it really can chew whatever you throw at it. Even if we'll scroll down here, we'll be able to see that it can manage different languages. It can work with very different kinds of structures of invoices. And it will always, always, always strive to validate what we give it. So if we'll go, for example, to this one, we'll see that the AI extracted the right name, right? But in our system, we do not have this company anymore. Okay, this is just an example on our demo service. So once it was not able to identify it, it will let you know, in this case, that it was not able to find anything for that specific supplier. And then everything that will change, that's what's going to be sent to Oracle, but we'll always have the reference for what existed in the beginning. And we can see here we also have a PO number. We're going to revisit this in a few minutes. Another interesting example here is that it's not only extracting kind of the header and the lines, which is obvious. And as I said, it doesn't really matter what's the structure of the invoice, because as you definitely know, invoices come in all shapes and colors. So we didn't need to kind of fit it with different templates and different examples, and always be worried that maybe tomorrow they're going to come a new invoice that we didn't see before. So the amazing truth is that it doesn't really matter if that's going to be the first time that the system meets your specific invoice. It will always be ready based on the understanding of context, of spatial location. It will always understand how to identify the different fields. And if something goes wrong, you can always just fix that. What I wanted to show you is this cool widget we have here. This is actually where we're going to make sure that the lines that we get match the header, right? So it will calculate all the different lines that we have. And I'm going to show you an example where it actually caught an issue in the PDF. But here it actually matches. So it tells us that it matches, but it also will extract the tax and the shipping based on what exists in the invoice. Okay, so even if you have, and sometimes customers have other fields that they want to pull here to kind of have it as part of the calculation. So everything is going to be right here. And as I said, everything is always changeable, right? So if I'll remove anything, it will let me know, oh, now it's not working anymore. The math doesn't work. Okay, let me show you an example where it actually caught an issue with the lines. So for example, here, right, we can see we have a PDF with many different lines. Also note that the lines don't have to sit on one page, right? They can go through many, many, many different pages, and it will always just keep following it and understand where did it stop on the previous page, what's going to be the next line, etc. And here,
And
if we,
ignoring all the decoration, and here there's a number that has green on top and it has no
oh,
issue.
completely, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'll show also the example with some handwriting. Um, so here, sure, it was that example. Right. So here it lets me know, you know what? We're actually expecting this 14,000 target number, right? But if we actually count all the different items here, this is not what we're getting. So immediately we get a warning, and the end user immediately notices that something is off. They can submit a query and fix that invoice before submitting something wrong to Oracle. Again, our goal here is to never submit anything which is invalid, because we want to make sure that this process is pain-free as possible. Everything just streamlined from the moment you get the invoice to the moment where it actually ends up in Oracle. A few more examples here. We can see it can really deal with uh, different kinds of tables, right? As I said, invoices come in all shapes and colors, so you're definitely familiar with that. That lines can sometimes have column titles, sometimes not. Sometimes the labels are moved aside. Maybe something that usually is on the left is now on the right. The air really doesn't care about it, and we really allow it the strength and the power to. I mean, we allow it to use the full length of its strength, because we know we always catch anything that might get wrong. We always validate it afterwards. Um, and the last example I want to show here before we move on to distributions was this one. So again, just to show you the vast examples of different invoices it can work with, and it doesn't really matter if your invoice suddenly had, some legal or commercial information coming inside. It's not a typical OCR in this manner, because it's not going to worry about what's not relevant to its goal. So it knows that we want to have the invoice information. So even if you have like 7 pages with legal information, it will just ignore that. Or if there's actual something important inside that's relevant for what we're looking at, it will be able to extract it from there. Okay, so I wanted to show you some of the more advanced features that we have here. So as I said, besides all the different fields that we saw, sorry, uh, we have the issue of distributions. Obviously, everyone here that work with invoices know that it's very important that we'll be able to take the amounts and distribute them to the right accounts. And then we have different customers working with different ways. So for example, sometimes, as the example we can see here, sometimes a default distribution account, one distribution account is enough for the whole invoice. So once we select it, it will just automatically put it on all the lines. But in some cases, we actually want to work with more than one distribution, and we want to split the invoice or even the specific line to different distribution. So this is also very manageable here. If I'll go and click here, I can see that I can select different accounts, and then I can define what's the percentage that I actually want to work with, right? So if I'll go and say, you know what, I'm going to split it to 50-50, so no problem. I can decide what my
Shalom, I'm
mass
just
is
going
going
to
to be.
answer a question as we go along.
Sure,
Somebody
go
was
ahead.
asking if this is a cloud solution. Player is not a cloud solution. This is installed on premise. We do contact for the AI portion. It is utilizing in this example, it's using Gemini, or you could use Oracle Cloud Service. Those are for the AI portion, it generally goes to the cloud. However, OraPlayer itself is residing on premise, and the data itself is stored on premise, and it does not need to be stored within Gemini if you have that type of account. So that's the question with regarding we were asked about a cloud server and about the PO line numbers. You're going to see shortly when Shalom does PO line matching with invoice lines. So we're going to drill down into that a little further.
Right. Any other questions, Mia?
Nope, that's it for right now.
Okay, perfect. So as we said, we can take the invoice and split it into the exact math that we need, and this is working um, on the invoice level and also on the individual lines level. So the last thing we wanted to show you, as Mia just mentioned, would be the PO matching. Okay, so I'm going to replace that PO because I need something that actually exists on our server. So let's change it to this. Okay, and you can see here, it assumes that I want to change the PO for all the lines, but I could, of course, change it for different lines. It could really go as complex as you need, and we know that with invoices, there are some very complex use cases. We try to answer all different needs. Yeah, did you say something?
Nope.
Okay, sorry. So let's say we want to start matching this invoice. So I'm going to choose this line. I'm clicking on match, and then it will pull this information, the PO information from our system. And now it shows me which lines are available for me to match to my invoice. So I could say, you know what, I want to match line number 1 to line number 1. It will give me any mismatches. This specific logic is highly customizable because we know that every customer has kind of its own their own kind of rules around it. This is just an example of the warnings that it might show us. Okay, and now it tells us that it's matched. We can decide now we want to match line number 3. So let's match it to also line number 3. Not very imaginative right now. So you can see now it tells me those lines are already taken. You could match the other lines. Okay, so everything is, we try to make it very, very simple, very, very intuitive. So the end users can really go through that as quickly as possible. And once they're ready, clicking on submit will just activate the automation that the automation that works on against the form. So it will go into the form. It will go and enter all the different values. It will click on all the different buttons. It will do everything that the end user would have done by themselves, but now it just does it instead.
So there's two things that I wanted to just mention here. Number one is that you see here on the bottom that we have what we call a change log. Okay,
Right.
so it's very important that you understand this is literally a productivity booster, right? It types in the invoice for you, it checks the data for you, it reconciles it for you, but it still has a full audit log of all the changes that took place. Um, because we know a lot of times in financial situations, people need to audit what was changed, what was edited, what was done on the system. Another thing that we really focused on that I think is a huge value to businesses is the element of being able to offload from IT. Okay. Right now, this is a functional user who is able to find errors, resolve errors before they occur, identify mismatches, correct them at the source, and then submit it to eBusiness Suite, right? Usually in AI type projects or automation type projects, you would need somebody from IT, right? You would get an error that something didn't save correctly, and then you'd have to go to IT to look at a log file, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really a very powerful tool that takes the actual, financial auditing portion and takes it out of the hands of IT, right? IT is responsible to do the setup, and of course, we have it secured with username, password, etc. But the end users are the ones who could, resolve their own issues vis-a-vis the data, matching, reconciling, etc. And I see here that there's a question: what other use cases are there besides invoicing? We actually have a very interesting use case of purchase order to sales order. Okay, so it's kind of the same, right? Purchase orders arrive, they need to be parsed, they need to be validated, and they need to be perhaps allotted to distributions and then create sales orders from them. So I don't know if Shalom has that handy, but that's another very powerful use case of this nature. Um, but there are several. Another use case utilizing AI is for iExpense receipts, right? People today are, literally trying to validate, type in receipts into the iExpense application, and utilizing this type of solution, people would be able to upload directly from their phone application. It would go through the AI, be able to parse the data, select the merchant, the date, the expense type, etc., and push it through iExpense as well. So these are just some of the use cases where this could bring value to the organization. But we're happy always to talk to customers to help them further define where they see that they could bring value from either AI or AI with automation, right? Automation use cases range from anywhere from, creating from doing vendor setup to um, being able to close out periods, right? Financial period, like doing period close, etc. So um, there are unlimited ways of being able to utilize AI to bring value, but the key is to try to not drink from the fire hose, right? Not boil the ocean, and really try to sit, understand where you could really gain the most, bang for the buck, where people are. You have bottlenecks, you have paperwork sky high, you have lags or delays in processing due to paper or manual based processes, and then kind of utilize that to find something that's a low hanging fruit for your first project, define it, build out the prototype, and then you could grow and scale from there. But thank you so much, Shalom, for that amazing demo. Even though I've seen it, it's incredible. Each time I see it, you've added new features, so that's always fun for me to see how it's growing with each customer implementation. But as you can imagine, with this type of solution, right, there's so much ROI. You reduce manual labor, you reduce the need for reworks, for error corrections, IT time to go and fix things with you, late payments and penalties because things are processed quicker, right? Faster financial close, etc. We have plenty of customer success stories. If you're going to be at Ascend, you should definitely join and hear live from people who've implemented it and not just from us. So hopefully we'll see you there. But essentially, they've achieved in record time, right, almost 50 to 70% faster processing, 99, right, near elimination of keying mistakes, and 10 times the volume capacity. Now, this is what the customer told us, right? This is like not even, random statistics. on our part. So these are incredible, incredible results, especially from a project that is, up and running for phase one in a matter of months, right? So um, to get started in this type of project, the first step is really, like we said, to try to discover and assess what your current processes are, where are your pain points, where are your automation opportunities, and defining your success matrix, right? So that takes about a week or two. Next, we do the solution design and configuration, right? We look at the model, we do some sample validations. And what's really fun is if this is of interest to you, feel free to reach out, either here by chat or to me directly. I'll give my email shortly, and we could do a sample extraction for you. We would be happy for you to send us 5 different types of purchase orders from different vendors, and we will upload them into our solution, and we can send you a video of what it's going to look like. So you can have some sort of sense of what your own invoices or purchase orders would look like parsed, right? Next, we do build and integrate. We build we set up the dashboard and the automations on your own environment, and we integrate it with your e-business suite to do your own validations and mappings, right? So that takes about 4 weeks. But then it's already ready for user testing and validation. Okay, so here we actually provide the dashboard to the end users in your organization, and they start putting receipts or invoices through the solution, right? They see the success. They see if there are things they could do to fine tune the process. For instance, if we see that every time, um, in our system, all the customer names are in caps, and in purchase orders, they come in all different shapes and sizes, we could put in a piece of validation that says, ignore the case. Or if in our system we have everything that says ink at the end and they don't on the invoice, we could say that, company name with ink at the end and company name are equal. So it won't cause an error, right? So there are all of these types of user validation, fine tuning that can happen at the end. And then we deploy it to production. But even then, we can monitor performance, bot health, and do continuous improvement. So half the things you saw from Shalom, right? First, they did invoice upload, and they saw that there was some discrepancy sometimes because of the shipping costs and because of the taxes. So they added that widget. Next, right, they wanted distributions to be added. Next, they wanted reconciliation, matching, etc., etc. So we're always happy to work with customers to try to build out best practices and workflows that make sense for your organizations, right? Because basically documents are the biggest hidden bottleneck. We are in 2026. And when I said, oh, the theme of this year's Ascend conference and Or Player should be, getting rid of paper, my CTO looks at me and says, what is this, the 80s, right? He says, that's what people were yelling, early 90s, stop using paper. And I said, okay, but they're still using paper. He goes, okay, fine. If you want to call the theme still using paper, you can. Um, but that's what it is, right? These systems have been around for decades, but they're too critical to mess with. You don't need to replace your e-business suites to innovate and to automate and to use AI, right? That's a critical message of this session, right? You could extend your existing system with focused use cases to allow you to have high volume performance and scale up quickly. Okay. So thank you all so much. Um, Basically, like we said, hopefully all of you are going to the Ascend conference. We would love for you to join us there. If you'd like, here is a QR code. You could scan it to learn more about our various sessions. We have one on filling out expense reports, mobily and digitally, automation with dashboards, by NFI. We're going to talk about AI and MCP survey by Oraplayer. Toyota is going to tell us all about their physical inventory transformation. And Cinch is going to discuss and demo their purchase order to sales order process. So hopefully you'll all be able to join us in Orlando. And of course, we have our annual customer dinner where we would love to host you guys. So feel free to reach out. I see we have one more question. And again, feel free everybody to put your questions in the Q&A. Do we have this specific agenda in the Ascend conference in Orlando? So like I said, we showed you the various sessions we have, but there are tons and tons of AI sessions of all different sorts, right? There's Ask EBS, which shows you how to utilize AI to ask questions of your EBS system. There's other types of use cases of people using EBS. We're going to show how we use Claude to talk to EBS and do actual functionality and run automations on EBS using Oraplayer's MCP. So we're going to be able to show you how to build a catalog of e-business suite workflows and execute them using AI. So happy for you guys to see that as well. Okay, so if there's no further questions, like we said, happy for people to get in touch. I know it's not usual for people to give both their phone number as well as their email, but it just shows, how we really want you guys to succeed as EBS community members, as people in our, like we said, our people. The more that people continue to leverage e-business suites to gain more productivity, functionality, the more Oracle will continue to support it. And we'll be able to leverage these investments that we've made, $1 million investments over many, many years. So hopefully you all enjoyed. And we look forward to hearing from you.